Okay, we need to have a chat. It's about remote events, but more importantly, it's about how much you're paying your speakers for remote events. Hey, look, before we get into speaking fees for remote events, I'd love to ask you a wee bit of a favor. If you do enjoy hearing about presentations, public speaking, presenting in general, presenting online, I would love you to connect with me over on LinkedIn. I'm really doubling down over there and I'm trying to invest in building a community around these topics. So I'd love you to reach out and find me over there and let's just engage. Tell me about more things you want to hear about. Oh, and if you haven't yet, if you wouldn't mind hitting subscribe on YouTube. I'm really trying to gain some momentum and growth within this channel, and I want you to be part of that growth. So please hit subscribe. Thanks so much. Let's talk speaking fees. Let's talk money. Right, so the other day I was contacted by this company. They asked me if I'd be willing to come and speak at their event. I said, of course. They asked me what my speaking fee was. I sent an amount, which is already discounted for remote. I've been discounting on average about 25 to 30%, and we'll maybe chat about that in a bit. But so they've asked me, and then they came back to me and they offered me a fee that was 10% of my original fee.
This is blasphemy. This is madness.
10%, just under 10% of my original fee. And the explanation was, but you don't have to fly anywhere. You just have to turn up and deliver your talk for 45 minutes. This is just good money for you for anything. Now, it reminds me of that story way back when, that famous story you probably all heard 100 times, but I'm going to relay it now because it's a cool story about Picasso sitting in that Parisian cafe, and this lady walks up and says, Mr. Picasso, would you mind drawing my picture? And he's like, sure. And he looks at her and he's like, and then he gives her this original Picasso and he says, you know, madam, that will be, I don't know, whatever, 1,000 francs. And she says, 1,000 francs, but it took you 5 minutes. And she says, no, madam, it took me my whole life. And of course, this is what it comes down to. When you pay me as a public speaker, you're not paying me for the 45 minutes of my time it took me to deliver that talk. You're paying me for the 45 years of my life it took me to get ready for that stage. Right? You're paying me for what I can give you in terms of an output. And let me tell you this, I know you think that it's remote or makes it easier, but it's not true. Like, something fundamental has changed. Before, when I arrive at an event, I literally turn up and I talk. I walk in, I send my tech writer, I arrive on stage, I do a sound check, and I deliver the message. Now, I'm the crew. Right now, I'm the technical crew as well. There's like lights involved, there's cameras involved, there's all kinds of gear that I've had to buy just to be ready. Microphones, we've had to get a second internet connection so that my bandwidth is perfect whenever I'm speaking. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's gone into making sure that I can deliver a talk online, and all my peers are doing it. Every public speaker is investing a lot in making sure they can deliver for you as best they can, because we don't want to just give you a straight webcam with an onboard microphone. We want to give you better, so we're investing in ourselves, but it does cost money. But more than that, it really is about the messaging. What are you buying when you're buying a speaker? Are you buying their time? Are you buying their travel time? That company basically said that they're paying me 90% of my fee goes towards paying me to arrive at their event, and only 10% is for the actual content. Now, sure, there is one loss area. Like, what is very nice, if you book a public speaker, they arrive and afterwards they engage with people and they chat and they do things, and for sure you're not getting that same effect. But I was on a call the other day with a person who was on a call with Simon Sinek. And Simon came on there and was answering questions and answered their question. And this person really felt like they were now 1 degree of separation away from Simon Sinek, because they had the call with them, they engaged with them, and Sinek answered their question. That's incredible. You're still giving connections. It's just of a different type. You know, and even there's some absurd cases. The other day I was asked to speak at an event in Durban. They asked me if I would fly up to Durban, stand in the studio, record this event, deliver it to a camera, and then they would put it out remotely. And then he said to me, but what is your remote speaking fee? I was like, dude, I'm not remote there. I'm literally arriving at your studio. I'm not charging you extra to fly to Durban. I should be, but I'm not. I'm willing to do it there. And they thought that I was being unreasonable. So, how much is enough? Well, speakers, this is where I want to say that you got to come to the party as well. Because let's be honest, right? As much as we talk about, sure, we've had to buy gear and do things, it is pretty cool. Let me tell you something, probably 80% of the speaking gigs I've done in the last few months, I've been wearing my slippers because I can, and that's incredible. And in fact, 5 minutes after I'm delivering my talk, I'm on a next meeting doing something else, or I'm having a cup of coffee with my wife and kids. Like, it's amazing. There is definitely advantages. So maybe we have to come to the party somewhat. For me, where's that number? I think it's between 20 to 30% is a reasonable amount to ask. And I think that it's up to the speaker if they want to do it. But 20 to 30%, you're still getting, everyone is leaving happy. And that's the final point I want to make on this thing. Because you can push for a bargain, but there's a cautionary aside to this. A few weeks ago, I was asked to do a talk, and I stood up there and I took a brief for the customer, and they gave me really took the time to give me a great brief, and they didn't argue about the fee, and we went through it. And I promise you, the night before, I spent hours trying to take the talk that I'd made and structure it, and really try and get it as perfect as I could to fulfill their objective. That extra couple of hours I put in taking my pre-crafted talk and making it work just for them, that was worth a lot more than you would think. As opposed to another case where I had this company kind of put me as far over the barrel as they could. They got me to discount down to the point where basically I was breaking. This is the problem with that Never Split the Difference book, right? Is you can't negotiate for half the hostages. Fine, but we're not in that situation. When you push me to a point that I cannot afford to say no, but so I have to say yes, but I'm not happy about it. You know what you get? You get me turning up and talking. You get me arriving, delivering my presentation as best I can, and it's good content, but you don't get all that extra stuff. You want your speakers to care. The more you push them, the more you squeeze them, the less you're going to get out of them in the day. On the flip side, the more you give them in terms of the brief detail, all of these things, and don't put them over a barrel, the more you're going to get out of the speaker. I promise you, it's going to be well worth the extra 10-20% you're going to pay for your event, not to get the discount. Pushing for the discount means you're pushing the added value, you're pushing that extra, I just want to give extra, out of the door. So just be aware of it. Think about it somewhat. If you disagree, I'd love to hear from you. If you have any stories of your own about how maybe dealing with speakers that's been terrible, or speakers, if you've got any problems about dealing with customers and what good and bad examples there are, please feel free to share them either below this video or in the post on LinkedIn in which I posted. I would love to engage with you on this topic, and I'd love to hear your opinions. That's it from me. Looking forward to chatting next time. Peace.